Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Good morning, man. Y'all know the vibes. If you woke up this morning, you already won. I hope you're doing something right now that your future self will thank you for. I'm Earl the Pearl, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd. Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Good morning, Earl.
Listen, do you know how far down on the depth chart that we have to be for me to be sitting in the host seat?
You're good.
Like, do you understand? Like, I'm like a scout team quarterback right now, called up last minute. You get to start.
Hey, man, better you than me. I got no ego here, buddy.
How y'all feel?
Take it away. Feel great. Feel great,
feel?
man. Just excited about this weekend. College football season is here.
The
It's week
game?
1. We got a big Buckeyes game this weekend.
Yeah.
I got my U.S. Open gear on. See my swag. Heading to the city to see my boy Carlitos Alcaraz.
You're constantly going somewhere.
It
Constantly.
is.
I've been on the move.
Yeah.
Been on the move. It's been good.
Have anybody?
It's been a good summer for your boy.
I'll bet. I'm proud of you. Happy
you.
for you.
Thank
man.
you.
Like, have anybody watched the what is it? America's Team documentary
So I started
on Netflix.
it.
I
started it too.
I
2 episodes in.
I fell
It's
asleep
good.
in the massage chair 20 minutes into it.
I'm like 6 episodes in. I have a newfound respect for Jerry Jones.
So do I.
Dude was ahead of his time.
Well, it's supposed to be. I probably can't use the word I was going to use. It's
Oh,
supposed.
yeah, I forgot about that.
It's supposed to be like paint Jerry in very glowing light, right? Like, was Jerry in charge of this? Because everything I've read is that like
It
all
seemed
it
like
is
it.
is
Yeah.
a puff piece. I can use puff piece.
Yeah.
I was going to say BJ, but I'll use puff piece. It's a puff piece for Jerry. I think Bob Jones,
Bob Jones.
BJ.
Yeah, BJ.
It's just crazy, like, to see the journey and see like where the NFL is now as far as like image and likeness and sponsorships and things like that. It's like this dude was ahead of his time, and people who wasn't with the program, they couldn't get with it, and they wanted Jerry gone. Man.
Well, he's from Arkansas, and he bought the Cowboys, fired Tom Landry immediately, and brought in Jimmy Johnson, who obviously was his buddy, and they knew each other very well. And it took some time. That first year, I mean, I thought the first episode and change was really good. I'd watch it. I'd recommend
Now
it
I gotta go watch
to watch it. For someone like me with ADD, I actually pay attention, and I learned a few things about the history of the Cowboys. And I mean, they weren't always flashy. I mean, it's like when the Buss family bought the Lakers. I mean, they turned that into the big show. And the Cowboys, very similar to what happened with Jerry Jones when he bought the team. He turned it into a bit of a circus at times, and they won, which is all that mattered.
I've talked to people who work very closely with Jerry, who say it doesn't matter. He's got the thickest skin of anybody I've ever met. He doesn't care what you say about him, just so you're talking about him.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He just wants you talking about him. He wants you talking about him and the Cowboys. It doesn't matter. Good, bad, it doesn't matter. Just so you're talking about him.
I'll tell you this too. I mean, they seem like they're pretty genuine guys. The family.
Yeah.
And I do love that. It's literally when they bought the Cowboys, like he talked to his kids, like his daughter's involved, like they made her like CFO. You know what I mean, like the whole thing. But there was Albert Breer covered the Cowboys for a little while when he was with.
I never knew that.
Yeah, I think he was working in Dallas, or it was NFL Network. Either way, he had a very close relationship with the Jones family, and we were at the Senior Bowl. This is like 7-8 years ago, and we're having dinner at Ruth's Chris in Mobile, and we're like 3 tables over from Jerry Jones, and it was like the whole Dallas Cowboys organization, and it was actually me, Albert, and North Turner's kid, Scott Turner.
Oh, yeah.
So Scott Turner, and Albert having dinner, and we finished up dinner, and we actually had just got our bill and gave the credit card, but they offered to buy our tab.
Yeah.
Which was really cool.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to do that, but it was really, really a thoughtful gesture, which I think something like that made an impact on me that said that was really nice.
Yeah.
And people don't have to do those things.
It's a very family atmosphere with the Cowboys. I know that the whole family's involved, but they treat the families well of their employees. They try and make it a very inclusive space. So.
Yep.
Yeah, man. He was just like, when you see the relationship that him and Michael Irvin has, and then you hear Jerry talk about the relationship that he has with his players. But just to me, like that business mindset and being so far ahead of the game in 1995 when it came to, revenue and just understanding how things should be. It's kind of funny that the same people wanted him out because they were salty he was making so much money, finally adapted his practices, and look where we are now with the NFL in 2025.
And last thing on while we're talking about him, we mentioned this briefly when it came out, but his scene in Landman.
Oh, great.
Phenomenal. I thought Landman was terrific. I loved the first season of it.
I only saw that clip.
That clip is, the show's terrific.
And I don't know nothing about the show.
Yeah.
But I think I shed a tear during the clip.
Oh, he was great. And I've talked to people who were on the set who were like, it was all natural. It was just Jerry.
Probably like
it was just Jerry being
very
Jerry.
Similar to what he thinks about his own family.
Oh, for sure.
And his kids.
Yeah. And it's I highly recommend Landman. Anybody looking for a show, I thought it was phenomenal.
I need to watch that.
Jerry's scene was terrific.
Another show y'all got to check out. We finna toss the at Mayor of Kingstown. It's on Prime.
Mayor of Kingstown. I've heard about that show.
Yeah,
I know nothing about it.
Got to check it out. I'll talk to you after the show.
Is that the Stallone show?
No. I can't think of his name, but it's
Stallone?
one of the actors that played in SWAT. Remember the movie SWAT from back in the day?
Yeah.
But a real good show. New season starts, I believe, in October.
All right.
October. But listen, man, we got a stacked show for y'all, man. We'll talk about the Browns' initial 53-man roster. We got Spencer, Ant, and Steve behind the glass. Ant, what up, bro? How are you?
What's up, guys? Just so you know, Jeremy Renner is the star of that show that you were looking for.
Yeah, it is.
And I want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by Yahoo Fantasy. Fantasy football is back. Fire up the group chat and get your draft board ready. And buckle up for a new season full of breakouts, busts, and all the overreactions that we live for. It's all going down on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, UCSS is back on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should be too, whether it's your first time or if you're a veteran making your millionth league. To celebrate 28 years of fantasy greatness, Yahoo is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days, giving you more ways to play, more ways to draft, and more ways to win. It all begins on August 4th, so stay tuned and get started by creating or joining a Yahoo Fantasy Football League at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL, and let's make this fantasy season the best one yet.
Hey, one more thing, guys, before we get into our topics of the day. I watched yesterday, not to stay on the show topic, but I just thought about this. I was going to text the group yesterday. Mr. Football, the show came out yesterday, the documentary on Cleveland Benedictine and Ray Williams, the story of him winning Mr. Football and his teammates, and the very tragic night that followed them winning the state title in 2003.
Yeah.
And led to one of their teammates getting murdered. And it's a very, very sad story, but it has a sort of a not a great outcome, but I mean, it takes you through the process of the judge who really helped the kids, because they were sort of mistreated in the situation and misunderstood. Anyway, it was really good. Tressel's in it a bunch. Ted Ginn's the executive producer. It's on Apple. I got it on Apple. I rented it for $5.
Oh, wow.
So it was about an hour and 20 minutes worth your time.
Okay.
It's very, very well done.
Well, not fun fact, but I actually know people who knew Lorenzo Hunter,
who was murdered, unfortunately. Very sad situation there. But and seemed like they all seemed like really good kids, and just made a really poor decision.
choice.
Yeah,
Poor choice. And sometimes when you're that young and you make a bad decision, you don't get the opportunity to get a second chance.
There's no takebacks.
So no takebacks to that. But hey, the Cleveland Browns got down to their initial 53-man roster at 4 p.m. yesterday. I looked at the roster, more undrafted free agents that made this team, I think, than any year prior under this current regime. Let's just go through position group by position group, starting with the quarterbacks, and then we'll give our overall thoughts on what we think the strongest, the weakest parts of this roster is. Dustin, I'll start with you. The quarterbacks, what did you think of?
I mean, listen, Bull and I talked about this yesterday on the pod. The fact that they were able to trade Kenny Pickett to the Las Vegas Raiders for a 5th-round pick was, I think, pretty remarkable. The guy didn't play really at all during training camp, and they essentially got back what they traded for him. Mm-hmm. And so they were able to keep their rookies on the roster, didn't have to try and stash anybody on a practice squad or what have you. And, it's interesting that they decided to go with the rookie as a backup. I think that's fascinating to me. But overall, I no big surprises. You know what I mean? The quarterback's the one we're all talking about.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I thought Kenny was going to be the starter. I said that all along until he got hurt. Had he not gotten hurt, I still think he would have been the starter, but we'll never know. So once Dylan sort of asserted himself as the backup, once Kevin felt comfortable with Dylan as the backup, I understand why they did what they did. I did think they were going to carry 4, but it makes sense to do it this way. I wouldn't be shocked if Tyler Huntley found his way back here in a few days, but for going with the 3 that they're going with, no, I think it makes sense. The Pickett thing I thought was interesting only because the Steelers are also carrying 4, so maybe it was a race to get to Vegas. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, the Raiders had their choice between Pickett and Skylar Thompson more than likely, and that might be part of the reason why the Browns acted as quickly as they did on the trade, because the Raiders could have gone elsewhere to get a backup. I'm curious to see what Pittsburgh does now with their 4 and carrying Skylar Thompson, how long that lasts.
Yeah, I actually like the trade myself. Me personally, I didn't feel like Kenny Pickett's resume was strong enough for him to be QB2 on this team without actually seeing him play in a game, whether it's preseason or not, under Kevin Stefanski's system. I just felt like I needed to actually see him in a game action before I could be comfortable with him being QB2. But not only that, I think this trade stabilizes the Cleveland Browns quarterback room, and it shows that not just with Dylan Gabriel, but even with Shedeur Sanders, that the coaching staff behind the scenes, whether it's Kevin, whether it's Bill, whether it's Tommy Rees, that whatever's been asked of these rookies since they've been here in April, that they feel comfortable enough to move forward with them as QB2 and QB3, and particular with Shedeur, because even if you wanted to name Dylan QB2, if you wasn't comfortable where in my opinion, where Shedeur was, then you probably still keep Kenny, let him heal up and be your QB3. I have heard the rumblings that Tyler Huntley might be back here on this team. That'll be interesting to see if that actually plays out that way. But for me, I think it creates more reps, for the younger quarterbacks. And like I said, it just stabilizes the entire QB room. We spent a lot of time this offseason talking about this team carrying 4 to 6 quarterbacks and just the chaos that came with it. So at least with that position group right now, everything seems to be stabilized.
I mean, it's the Browns. They're going to play multiple quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And any year, it seems like they play multiple quarterbacks. This year especially. They're going to take a look at the rookies. Everybody has said that. The owner has come out and said that. They're going to look at these guys. And then Huntley would be, I would imagine, a practice squad guy. And then if you need to elevate him, you can. If something happens to Joe or if one of these guys goes down, you can elevate Huntley. But obviously there was more risk in Shedeur. You don't want to leave Shedeur exposed. You can do that with Huntley and claim him that way. But the overriding theme to me on this whole season is this is a fact-finding mission. And you talked about it with the amount of rookies and undrafted guys that they're carrying. This year is all about figuring out what you got. That goes for quarterback. That goes for running back. That goes for receiver, especially in the secondary. This is not a team that's a playoff team, more than likely. Like, show me a path that gets them to the playoffs. So figure out what you got at all of these positions, starting with quarterback, but then at some of these other spots as well.
Yeah, you mentioned the running back room. The 53-man initial roster has the Cleveland Browns with just 2 running backs on that roster. And, of course, Kevin Stefanski said it won't be like this for long. We still don't know what's going on with Quinshon Judkins. I'm pretty sure there's other guys that Andrew Berry is looking at, but were you surprised that they at least started initially with just 2 running backs?
I mean, it's jarring to look at that list and think that they have a chance to go into a season with 2 running backs on the roster. But like Coach said, that's not going to be the case as they approach the opener against Cincinnati. They're going to have more running backs on that roster. And maybe there is some sort of clue there, if we're reading the tea leaves properly, that maybe Judkins is going to be coming in the mix at some point. I have no idea. I'm just trying to guess as to why there's only 2 guys on there and who those 3rd and 4th string guys are going to be. Or I don't know, are they going to use Harold Fannin at running back too? I mean, I don't really know what their options are at this point.
I used him at fullback on Madden the other day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. What you think, Jason?
There's how much of an impact did Pierre Strong make on this team last year? Minimal.
Yeah.
So unless it's Quinshon, whoever they're going to bring in, more than likely, is not going to make a huge impact. Like, there's guys out there. I actually kind of like Donovan Edwards, who was just released from the Jets, went undrafted. Obviously, the Michigan running back. Estime from Denver is the one that's getting all the publicity. But whoever it is more than likely not going to have a huge role on this team. So I can't get worked up about who's the third running back that they're going to bring in, because it's a placeholder for now until the Judkins thing gets sorted out.
Guys, most times those third running backs end up being just a special teams guy anyway. And so you look at the Browns roster, they kept six receivers on there active. Most teams keep 5. So there's an extra player that they're probably – I mean, they kept Gage Larvidan, the receiver who was undrafted, on the active roster. So maybe one of those guys ends up playing the spot where that third running back would play. Now, look, I mean, if you get into a game and both running backs get hurt, then you got to figure it out. But, look, the Browns we know they're not going to be in the mix probably for a playoff spot or whatever. So if they get into a pinch in a game – all right, you sign one. You can sign 5 the next week.
Right.
Is the point? You know what I mean? You're going to be okay.
Yeah, I thought Amani Marshall had done enough to me, at least when I seen him in games, to possibly make this team. I'm with you, Jason. I thought Pierre Strong's impact on this team was minimum to none, even though from the naked eye it seemed like when we saw him, he was making some plays. But you just look at that room, and to me, Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson are the same type of running back. And so you kind of need that bigger body to kind of stabilize that room. Somebody that you can play more on first and second down versus like a third down option. Dustin, you mentioned 6 wide receivers. Mm-hmm. That group right there is the biggest. That's one of the biggest head scratchers to me. I look at the room even with 6 men, and it's like, that's uninspiring. If I got to be,
it is quantity over quality.
Like, we know we got Jerry Jeudy, but
I mean, he's the only one in that group that is proven. I mean, Bond, they just signed. He's a rook out, or is he technically a rookie?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he didn't get drafted, and they signed him. He got cleared of his situation. Larvidan's an undrafted guy. Thrash is just kind of a guy. Tillman, 3rd round pick. You're looking to see if that big body guy can come out and make some plays and got some speed. I don't know. I don't feel great about that group. Do you?
No, how could you? But again,
there's talent there for sure.
Yeah.
Tons of talent, but unproven talent.
Yeah, and that's why I said earlier, it's a fact-finding mission, particularly with this group, that you know what you have in Jerry Jeudy. You need to know by the end of the year what you have in Cedric Tillman. We've seen flashes occasionally, but do you really know who Cedric Tillman is? Do you feel comfortable in saying who he is as a player? No.
I don't.
No. So by the end of this year, though, you should have a pretty good idea. Is Cedric Tillman going to be a contributor on this team or not? The Bond thing, I've already said what I wanted to say about the Bond thing. I thought he deserves his place in the NFL. I don't think that place is Cleveland. They have not proven to be the organization that can handle guys like that. I just don't think they have the right culture for that. But he's here. He's on a guaranteed contract. We're going to see if he can play. The DeAndre Carter thing is interesting because there was a lot of reports that he was getting cut. So I wonder if he's the one that goes then if they do need to make a spot for a running back. Or
they also kept 4 tight ends on the roster too.
Yeah, so you've got a little bit of flexibility
yeah.
there because they're probably more than likely by the time you get to the regular season only going to keep 3. There are going to be changes made.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe during the show.
It's. I always feel bad for the guys that are on this list that are not on the list
they
next,
make
next
the
week.
team.
Yeah, because they.
But I think guys know by now, right? Don't you know, like, hey, I'm on it now, but that doesn't mean I'm really on it.
You're like a bubble guy. Like
Yeah.
if you're that 4th tight end or that 5th or 6th wide receiver, or that whatever it may be, the 5th corner, or whatever. It doesn't matter. A position that's expendable. There's a chance you could be gone in 2 seconds. I just hope those guys, stay on the roster long enough they at least get a game 1 paycheck.
Yeah, there you go.
I was just watching a podcast with Terry Crews. The actor, and he used to play in the NFL, and he was on a podcast with Shannon Sharp, and he talked about, making the initial 53-man roster, and he finally went to enroll his kids into school, I think just to find out the next day that he was no longer on the roster. But, to the wide receivers, I've been at camp, you've been at camp. To me, outside of Jerry Jeudy, I thought Jamari Thrash had the best camp of the wide receivers out there. Carter, it seemed like he was getting a lot more reps. He was getting reps ahead of Deontay Johnson, for example, at some of the practices I was at. But that's one of those position groups that, we're going to just have to wait and see. Cedric Tillman, yeah, he showed some flashes, but I really don't know what's there. He has the makeup of a guy that can take over and be, a big body number 1 or number 2 outside receiver, but it's still more to be desired there. I think the tight end group, they kept, 4 tight ends on that?
4.
That kind of surprised me as well.
Yeah.
Well, the last one, Blake Whiteheart, I know nothing about him.
He was here last year.
I know nothing about him.
He made a couple plays in
Did he do
preseason.
anything last year?
Yeah. I mean,
Not enough for me to remember him.
there you go. I would think Bates might be the one in jeopardy of those.
Okay.
I think Whitehart's safe. I could be wrong.
I haven't heard of Bates either. So
No, Whitehart was here last year. Whitehart was the one on the Gabriel pick that got pushed to the wrong spot on the pick six.
that's right.
in the Philly
That's right.
game.
That's right. Okay, I do remember that.
See,
now.
I think Brendan Bates might be the one that's safe because of all the guys on that list. He is more of the kind of like blocking
Yeah.
tight end. Harold Fannin Jr. and David Njoku, you already know they're going to be spread out wide. And so I just think of that group. If you got to keep one that's more like of a protector, it'll probably be Bates.
If Kevin's going back to 13 personnel, which why
13
would I
with
mean,
3 tight ends?
He's run it before. They led the league in 13. What, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I feel like I want to say it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Maybe it's 3 years ago now.
It's been a while.
And he likes his tight ends. So I think we're gonna see a lot of fan.
Thank you. Someone got it.
I think we're gonna see a lot of Fannin and Njoku, but I could see him going back to 13 sets.
I can't wait to see Harold Fannin play in a
Me
real
too.
game. It's like it's so much untapped raw potential right there. The fact that he's from Northeast Ohio, like I think it's gonna be lit, on Sundays in that stadium when they see him actually make some plays.
Pride of Canton, Ohio, baby.
All right, let's go over to the offensive line. Look at the offensive line room. I think this is one of the few position groups that we can look at and say, okay, if they're healthy, we're confident in their ability.
The lines are the strength of this team.
Yeah.
Offense and
Don't worry about
defense.
those guys.
Yeah, no, they'll be, as long as they're healthy, they'll be fine. I'm really fascinated to watch DeJuan this year. I want to see if he could stay healthy. He's in terrific shape. He's probably like, we joke all the time. Guys come out and say they're in the best shape of their life. He actually might be in the best shape of his life. And they got some depth there with Tevin Jenkins. But if they stay healthy, that's a unit you don't really worry about at all. We'll wait and see on Posick. And Zinter obviously struggled bad as a rookie. This is probably – he's got to show something fast, or this might be it for him here, I would think, if he has a year like last year. But they're going back to the zone blocking scheme of the Callahan days.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, it very well may have been a coaching thing with Zinter because the coaching was – I mean, we said it before, Mike Vrabel was basically the offensive line coach from September on, or early October on. So maybe getting a fresh look at things with Bloomgren as the O-line coach and going back to the wide zone scheme will make this a little bit better.
Yeah, I look at it too. Zach Zinter, this is a big season for him. If Luke Whippler stays healthy, though, I think he's one of those linemen that can kind of move around in the interior. And we all know Andrew Berry like versatile offensive linemen because injuries do happen. But I couldn't agree more, man. Zach Zinter got to show something this year because he has not been impressive at all. And then, you sign a guy like Tevin Jenkins he looks like he's solid.
Yeah.
This is a huge year for Zach. And let's go over to the defensive line. Of course, like we talk about these two lines being the strengths of this team, and you look at the defensive linemen and how many that they kept, you can't help but be excited about this group and understand that this right here, if the Browns are going to have any opportunity to play competitive football consistently and get above that Vegas mark of 4.5, 5 wins, that's going to be the position group right there, Dustin, that's going to have to show up and show out consistently.
Oh, there's no doubt. And we talked about the health of these guys and can they stay on the field. 95 is the key to that whole group. And if 95's out there, all those other dudes have a chance because there's a lot less attention on them. So listen, Myles Garrett has been the model of consistency. He doesn't miss a lot of time. I mean, I know he gets double teamed and triple teamed and whatever. It's a challenge for him, but he never really gets banged up and misses time. So that group's led by him, and I think that Mason Graham should be a really good player. I loved him coming out of that school up north, but time will tell. No one's really been talking about Mason Graham much during training camp, and it's hard to because he plays defensive line, and there's just not a lot of plays to be made where there are splash plays. They jump out at you. They're not sexy positions. So that group's got some good depth.
He's flashed a couple times in the preseason, even playing a spot that you don't normally look at, but on some of the clips and breakdowns and all 22s. He's been impressive early. But, yeah, I mean, I think this team goes as the defensive line goes, and how much pressure can they create? Can they create turnovers? Can they rush force throws? It's really going to be, I think, with some of the problems that they may have in the secondary, it's really on this group to generate pressure up front.
Yeah, I know we talk a lot about 95, but I think like the engine, will be just the entire group of that interior of that defensive line. I just think that group in itself is so appealing. Last year when we saw Mike Hall Jr. actually play, it just seemed like he got off the ball so darn fast, and he just flashed, off the tape. Every time you seen 51, it just seemed like he was making some plays. Mason Graham, I did hear Andrew Berry speak very highly of him during the broadcast of the final preseason game, and he talked about, when you ask a guy like that who wasn't asked to do the things that Jim Schwartz is asking him to do, and he's picking up on that and making those adjustments early on, you can't help but to be excited about that. Aiden Huntington, we've seen what he did in the preseason, and shout out to Myles Garrett for taking him up under his wing. He went down to Dallas, spent some time with Myles, worked out, and pretty much got to see how they do things. And then you look at the veterans like Malik Collins and Shelby Harris. I think that entire interior D-line can really propel Myles Garrett to another Defensive Player of the Year award this year.
Yeah, I want to see if Mason can take some of the focus off of Myles. Mm-hmm. We talked about it before, if he can be the Cam Hayward to Myles' TJ Watt, sorry. And then how the rest of it goes on the other side with Alex Wright, with Isaiah McGuire. And Aiden Huntington, what a great story he's been this whole camp.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys that, like, all right, did they find something here? Did they run into something? And I'm curious to see, first of all, how they use him. And secondly, if he can really help this team.
That dude got a high motor, and he just looks like he's, that low-gravity, undersized defensive tackle. It just seems like he fits the mold of what the Browns have been trying to build over the last 2 years in the interior. I can remember hearing Kevin and Andrew talk about that instead of having the bigger guys like we used to have in the past, they wanted guys that were more like speed rushers from the interior that could collapse the pocket from the inside. And he's another guy that fits that mold. You did mention Isaiah McGuire. Listen, it's hard to pick on whose camp I've liked the most between him and Alex Wright. It seemed like when they both have had their opportunities, they both have played pretty well.
Yeah, I just think the rotation up front will be good. They're going to move a lot of bodies in and out. They have to move a lot of bodies in and out at that position. And, it's funny, for being as analytics heavy of a team as the Browns are and have been, to use their top 2 picks on non-analytics positions like defensive tackle and linebacker was curious to see.
Yeah, and you think about like what they did last year and then what they did this year, Michael Jr.'s second round. So it's just like they've been going in the trenches. And I heard on the Browns radio show at the Fan last year, Tyvis actually asked Kevin Stefanski about that. And he says, that's where the game is won and lost. And so you got to make sure that your trench play is always up to par, especially when you play in the AFC North. Let's get on to the linebacking group here. Got the hometown kid, Jerome Baker, Devin Bush. Really don't know what his availability will be come week 1. Got some young guys there, Diabate, my man EMA, and then Carson Swessinger. How y'all like this group?
I'm glad you called him EMA because I definitely don't want to pronounce that name all season long. Even though it's probably not that hard. Was it Mascarenas?
I think Bull tried to do it yesterday.
EMA. Anyway, that's a group that not a ton of like sexy names, but we know Diabate had a really nice season last year. Came on at the end. Bush is, we know him from playing college football, and Swessinger is a high draft pick, high motor guy. I expect him to make like every tackle for the Browns this year that breaks through the defensive line. He's going to be everywhere. Baker's been a good player. That's a solid group. I mean, it's not like all pros, but there's some good players in there who are just good football players.
I'm more concerned with the secondary than I am with the linebackers. Right. I agree with you on Diabate. Made some plays toward the end of the year, showed what he can do. Swessinger, I think, is going to be a fan favorite.
Yep.
He's just a missile and plays with his hair on fire. And Bush, we'll see. And the rest of them we'll see. But we've talked about it before in Schwartz's system. linebacker, almost maybe to a fault, maybe too much, has been deprioritized so much. It starts up front, and I think you see that with what they've invested in the players up front. But it starts up front, and then the secondary, and then third comes the linebackers.
Yeah, Carson looked like, man, he just got that Cleveland grit to him. Like everything from the hair to the jersey number, just how he plays versus how less he talks. Andrew Berry said, man, he looks like a 5-year pro already. And he's wearing that green dot. And I think that the Browns fans in this city are just like, everybody's going to be excited to see him play. Very aggressive dude. I love everything I see from him. And I think it's a solid group as well. You got, somebody like Jerome Baker, who's from here and talked about, like, this is one of his lifelong dreams. And I don't know, Dustin, I believe, like, if you're a player that make it to that level of competition and you really, get the opportunity to play for either your favorite team or your hometown team, that adds a little bit more gas in the tank when it's time to go out there and play.
There's no doubt. Anytime, a player gets to be from an area and then go play, for that team, it's special, especially if you grew up rooting for that team. Like, yeah. I've rooted for the Browns. I wasn't like a diehard Browns fan because we lost them for my entire, high school career. From when I was a freshman until I was a senior, I didn't have a football team, pro team. So I liked the Browns. And I wanted to play for the Browns, being from the area. And more than anything, I wanted to have my family close to be able to come watch me play, which then makes me play better because I have more people watching and just the whole thing. It's great to play in your hometown. We when I was in Buffalo, there was a local kid from Orchard Park, like grew up in Orchard Park and played D3, John Cordo, and he ended up like playing like 7 years in the league, undrafted, and was on the like a good play, like special teams ace, whatever, for like 5 years. And it was so cool just to be able to watch that, and he's a buddy of mine, and to see how much it meant to him to play for a team. So yeah, the local flavor, it adds whatever value you want to put on it, but it definitely doesn't hurt.
I asked you guys this before we move on to the DBs. In 10 years, when we talk about Carson Schlesinger, what will we be saying?
Man, I hope that we're talking about a guy that's going to Pro Bowls.
I hope he's here. I hope we are talking about him in 10 years. That would be incredible because at that position, there ain't many dudes that hang 10 years with one team. Mm-hmm. I hope we're saying the same thing that we're saying now, that he's a guy that plays at 110 miles an hour every single snap. He's always around the ball, and he makes plays.
I hope he's like a Luke Kuechly type of guy, and hope he plays longer.
I mean, if he's here in 10 years, he might be in the Ring of Honor.
Right.
Yo, it's funny that you said that. Last week when we did the Ultimate 216 show, Cecil Shorts actually compared him to Luke. He said that's exactly who he reminds him of. So it'll be fun to watch him. All right, and let's check out these DBs. You know me, Jason, anytime we get to looking at the DBs, man, it's going to be a hard year for you, boy. It's going to be a hard year for me, man. I ain't got my guy MJ Emerson, but it's going to be all right. Look at this group right here, man. Denzel Ward, you got Greg Newsome, you got Ronnie Hickman and Grant Delpit. Outside of that, it's a whole lot of question marks right there.
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, it's another quantity over quality for a lot of those guys. I think Tyvis has done a great job of pointing out Cam Mitchell and sort of the questions around him. We have to see what Greg can do on the outside. We're back on the outside. I've heard good things about Don McMillan. Curious to see him. Another undrafted guy, another undrafted rookie who sort of made this team, and let's see what he's got. I'm just going to keep saying it. It's a fact-finding year, man. It's a year to find out what you got with a lot of these guys, particularly in that group right there.
Look, it's not the deepest group on the team. There's some guys on that list that have played some good football in this league, but it's top heavy with Denzel. And if Denzel, can play 17 games, great. That's going to help everybody else. Same with Myles Garrett. It goes without saying. But man, not having Emerson hurts. You're expecting guys like Newsome in a contract year to kind of step into that role and then step up. I don't know. A lot of question marks, man. And I'd love to be higher on that group because that's a position group that I played in,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm always kind of a little biased towards those guys, but I just don't see it right now. I'm a little nervous about that group.
You know, I remember when you said it a couple months ago after MJ got hurt. You know, Greg Newsome, it's your time to shine.
Yeah.
The opportunity is there. You've always wanted to be on the outside. You know, you was a good teammate. You moved inside. You did what the coaches asked you to do, and now you get the opportunity to go out there and earn that bag and show everybody that, you know what, I can be an outside number 2 corner in this league. So it'll be interesting real quick before we move on to special teams. We talked about Mike Hilton yesterday as a possible option for the Browns to add. Yes, no, you guys would be cool with that?
I'm not anti-Mike Hilton.
Yeah. I think at this point, any player you're adding, I don't think it's a high-impact player at any position. We're talking bottom of the roster guys who, if they're getting traded, they're getting traded for 7th-round picks. If you're picking them up, you're picking them up because another team cut them. So it doesn't mean you can't find a hidden gem somewhere. You can. It happens all the time in this league. But to go in expecting a huge impact from some of these guys at this roster shuffling at the bottom of the roster, I just think is a little unrealistic.
And finally, man, we'll get on to the special teams. There was only room for one Dustin in the city of Cleveland, so Dustin Hopkins had to go. Corey Borges, Andre Schmidt, and what's that, Rex Sunhara? I hope I did not botch that all the way.
Sounds good to me. Sunahara? I don't know. There's an A in there. Yeah. Listen, Dustin Hopkins, unfortunate for the kid that, you know, Dustin had to be let go. You know,
politics, man.
But look,
you from here.
Look, at the end of the day, they paid him a lot of money.
Yeah.
You don't pay. I'm telling you, don't pay kickers. You don't pay kickers. There we go. You don't pay kickers. You don't draft kickers. You don't pay kickers. Like those dudes are a dime a dozen. You find one, it may last a year, maybe 2. If you're lucky, maybe it's a few years, whatever. You know, the Justin Tuckers of the world that play for 10, 12, 15 years and just don't miss kicks, those guys are hard to find. The Browns had something good in Hopkins for a second. They got overzealous. They paid the guy a bunch of guaranteed money, which I don't know why you would ever do that. No one's knocking down his door to pay him. But at the end of the day, they're trying to win games. And they know this season, we've talked about this many times, defense and special teams is what is going to really help the Browns win games if they want to win games this year. And with Hopkins missing PATs in the preseason, dude, like what are we doing? It's a 33-yard kick. I have to run an ad in the paper for that.
Yeah, no, that's facts. That's facts.
Had to make a change at kicker. Guaranteed money doesn't matter. This is, twice in 3 years that the last preseason game kind of cost him.
Yep.
We saw it with Cade York when he missed that kick, I think, against Minnesota, I think it was, in the preseason. I don't remember now who their last preseason, or it might have been the Chiefs.
Either way, it was bad.
He missed that last kick in the preseason. I thought that might be the end of old Cade. And hand up, I liked Cade. I thought it was fine to use the draft pick on him, and oh boy, I am now firmly on Dustin's side of don't draft kickers and don't pay kickers. I've learned my lesson.
7th round, okay, fine. Maybe they use a little bit of priority on that guy.
Yeah.
You don't want him to go sign on draft with somebody else. But we're not going higher than the 7th round or 6th round at best for a kicker.
I remember being in a car, and y'all, if you ever listen to Dustin on the radio, he says dude a lot. So you're like, dude, what are you doing?
My voice gets high. I know. I hate
dude,
it.
what are you doing? You're not the kicker? 4th round? I mean, I'm just saying. That's a guy that's a rotational guy.
Dustin and I argued with Stefanski when I was on 90s, when I was filling in with him, and we had Kevin on, and he and I were arguing about the kicker. He was right. He was right.
Dude, I argued with, what's his face? The old GM. Dorsey? Yeah, Dorsey and I, it was a playful banter.
Yeah.
But he came on the show, and I said, John, you know what? The only pick I disagree with is drafting a kicker. I said, you just don't draft kickers, and I was having fun with him, and then he doubled down on it. And
which one did he draft?
Oh God, it was the kicker from Oklahoma, I think, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh,
who's actually turned his career around?
Was it Joseph?
No,
dude. What's his name?
I was gonna say Bailey, but that's not it.
2 seconds.
Oh man, that's gonna drive me crazy.
All right, man. Well, look. We know who our starting quarterback is, man. After we hear from Ant and a word from FanDuel, we'll talk about how many games.
Austin Seibert. Sorry, go.
No, we hear how many games do we think
get out there.
Flacco will play. Ant, let's hear from you.
Yeah, guys. Just a reminder that yesterday, August 26th, was FanDuel's Futures Day. But if you didn't get your bets in, you can still head on over to the FanDuel app and start betting against MVP races, and you can claim your champion here in August. Go over to the FanDuel app, use code UCSS, and go start betting today.
Speaking of betting, y'all want to bet how many games you think Joe Flacco play this year?
I'd set the over/under at 9.5.
It's a good start.
Ooh, I take the under. Every snap he takes feels like a wasted snap. And I know you got to care about your veterans, and I know you're trying to win. I know. Got to find out what you have in these guys, man. You got to find out what you have in Dillon and Shedeur. And if Joe's playing 9 or 10 games, that leaves 7 for Dillon and Shedeur, and I just don't think that's enough. So I kind of hope Joe only plays like 5. Get him through the first.
What's the
month.
number, Jason, that the Browns brass have in mind at the point of the season when they're saying, okay, time to pull the ripcord on the young guys and let them play?
They were.
Is it like 1-6?
I remember. Now, obviously, last year was far different because you went in that season with high expectations. But I left the stadium after that Commanders loss, and the season was over, and they were like 1-3. What was the command? What was their record after Washington? Can we look that up?
Yeah, 1 second.
After the loss to Washington,
the game
it was
like
early
5
October.
turnovers?
It was early October.
Yeah, I remember the game.
And I remember, I think I tweeted or I wrote something about like, it's October, whatever, and the Browns season is over before the Guardians season.
All right, so it was Sunday, October 6th. They lost 34-13, and they were 1-4.
And that was it. The season was over. So if they start 1-4, I know last year was different because you had higher expectations, but 1-4 is 1-4.
I talked to somebody in this in the business. Somebody who covers it, the NFL nationally, and they were like, "When's the Browns bye week?" And
It's like 8.
I think it's 8 or 9, but let me check.
It's somewhere in October. There's
9.
Is it 9?
Yeah, so it'll be
maybe.
probably very end of October.
All right, so the end of October, week 9. I think after that Patriots game, you evaluate the situation and say to yourself, all right, where are we at? You know, obviously the Jets on the road, that's not an ideal spot to start somebody, a rookie, but...
Yeah, that's not a good team, though. They're not a great team.
But still, I don't know.
See, me, I struggle with this. I want to say because of the fact that Joe hasn't played a full season since, 2017? I think that was the last full season he played, in the NFL. Maybe this is just a hometown bias. Maybe this is the Browns fan, or maybe this is just Joe Thomas being on our show Monday. But, when you look at this team, I think that they are a little better than what the national perspective is. And based on how they constructed this roster, I hear you. I think this is what, Jason, as far as this is a year you got to figure out what you have. But to me, it looks like they're taking this approach of, let's at least put our best foot forward and make a concerted effort to at least go out here and try to win. And
Sure.
to your point, let's see what we look at after 8 games,
Right.
and then we go from there. But I think if Joe, I hope Joe is healthy because I'm a fan, and I hope Joe is playing well enough to where the Browns is winning more than the 4 or 5 games that they are projected to win. Now, that's counterproductive as far as getting a look at the rookies, but I think based on how the last few seasons of the Cleveland Browns season has played out, you're going to see all 3 of them. I'll go ahead and stick with the 9 games from Joe, and then Dillon and Shedeur split up the rest. I think that watching Dillon, he was better than as advertised. If I'm being honest, we heard some people that were respecting this game felt like that at certain points during training camp he didn't look like an NFL quarterback. And just watching him in the last 2 preseason games, I see where his strengths are. And I also see where his weaknesses are. And it kind of reminded me when we had Baker, Dustin, and how Kevin would do whatever he could to exploit the strengths and hide the weaknesses. And those quick out routes and operating from the gun and things like that, I just wonder, how much will he be able to do that before defenses get enough tape to where Kevin say, okay, now I need to see my QB3.
I wish I had the answer. I wish I had a crystal ball on this situation. I do feel better about Gabriel being the backup now after watching a little bit of preseason football. The guy seems like the guy played 6+ years of college football, as opposed to Shedeur played less and different competition and different, all that stuff. But I don't know that he's going to be a great starter in this league. I think he'll definitely be serviceable because he's a smart kid. He does the right things. He knows where the ball's got to go. But there are limitations. Number one being his size, his athleticism, all those things kind of hold him back a little bit. But we said the same thing about Baker Mayfield too, and he's now become kind of a top 5 to top 10 quarterback in the league. That's on a team and going to the playoffs every year. So we'll see about Dillon Gabriel. It was only a 3rd-round pick. I thought it was a little bit of a reach at the time, but I don't know, man. The guy made a few plays here in the preseason that has me at least wanting to see more.
Yeah, you're going to see more. I said during the training camp, if he was 4 inches taller, he probably would have been a 1st-round pick.
Right.
But, I mean, he's not, and he's never going to be. So some of Dillon's weaknesses are never going to improve. With some of the other guys, with things where Shedeur isn't strong, he can improve. Mm-hmm. With Dillon, it is what it is. When you talk about the 63 starts, I think he's a lot closer to being a finished product as well, even by NFL standards. Doesn't mean he can't get better and he's not going to learn and grow. But as there's more of a scouting report on him as well, as teams start to figure him out a little bit, we'll see. I tend to think I'm going to stick with what I've said all along. Unless one of these guys, unless Dillon or Shedeur completely grabs hold of this job and makes it evident that the answer is right here, they're going to take a quarterback next year. They keep stockpiling the picks. They got the 5 now for Pickett to add to their stash. So I think they're up to 10 picks, I think.
Yeah, up to 10.
In next year's draft in the 2-1. So they've got all the ammo they need to move around the draft board next year. So now it's on Dillon and it's on Shedeur. And I'll tell you right now, if Joe plays 9 games, they're taking a quarterback next year because that's not enough time. I don't think. How is that enough time for either one of those guys to separate themselves and tell this team, I'm your guy. You don't have to waste one of those, or you don't have to spend one of those 1st-round picks on a quarterback. I'm right here. If Joe's playing 9, that's leaving what? 5 for Dillon and 3 for Shedeur. I mean, Dillon's going to go, unless he's hurt, Dillon's going next. Dillon's first one up at whatever point they pull the plug on Joe. And he's going to get a longer leash, and then Shedeur's going to get what's left over.
See, for me, I think all right, I hear Dustin, I hear Tyvis, and I hear G talk about all the time to where, like, when it comes to football, we might have this concept of a plan of how things might play out on the NFL side of things, and then if you flip the coin, it's the collegiate side of things, right? Arch Manning has been a hot name. Lenore Sellers has been a hot name. What's his name? Cade
Klubnik.
Klubnik.
Yeah.
He's been a hot name. Nussmeier. He's been a hot name. Of those 4 quarterbacks, there's a strong possibility that Sellers and Arch goes back to school and is a part of the 2027 draft class. And I think if the Browns win anywhere from, 5 to 8 games, then that pushes you out of a situation to where you can draft the other 2. And let's even say, like, if Jacksonville is around the same type of team that the Browns is, and it's all predicated on how Trevor Lawrence plays, right? I'm still not even sure having those multiple 1st-round picks is enough for you to trade up, because who's to say that franchise that's sitting in those positions, and hypothetically, and then you got Drew Aller and you got those 3 quarterbacks on the board, well, you got coaches and general managers that are trying to save their jobs too, and you got people who are trying to turn their franchise around as well. So if you don't get the opportunity to really evaluate, your quarterbacks, I believe the Browns probably will take a quarterback. Where, I don't know, but I still see a world to where if you can't properly evaluate both, I think people are looking at this like it's one and done for those guys. They're going to be on this roster next year. Is that fair and saying?
I don't think both these rookies are on this roster next year, no. If they take another quarterback, I don't think they're carrying a rookie plus Dillon plus Shedeur. I don't.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
At
that point in time,
I think
you should know what you have at least to one of these rookies at that point.
Yes.
To be able to say, okay,
Yes.
Shedeur or Gabriel, because they weren't high enough draft picks that you got to keep them around.
Right. Yeah, I think it's one or the other between. If they take, again, we're assuming they take a quarterback in the 1st round. They take a quarterback in the 1st round. That guy's going to get the starting job, or every opportunity. If he doesn't start the year with it, he's going to be the starter at some point soon. So I don't think at that point, I don't think they're carrying both Dillon and Shedeur.
We'll move on to baseball in a second. I'll close with this, and I eat crow down the line. But my gut feeling is I don't think they're going to take one in 2026. I think when you talk about reading the tea leaves and you hear Jimmy Haslam say it's about stockpiling picks and building this thing off for 2 or 3 years, and then let's say hypothetically Arch Manning is their guy, I don't see him coming out this year. And I just don't think that the Browns or the Jaguars are going to be bad enough for them to have the, even with the 2 first-round picks, to be able to move up and take one. But it's going to be fun to watch how this NFL season play out, how this college football season play out. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And we'll take it from there. You got to read, man, and we'll talk about Mr. Parker.
Yeah, guys, we're going to get into baseball here, but I want to remind everybody that you can get even more baseball talk over on the Ultimate Guardians with Zach Meisel and Adam the Bull. It's going to move to Wednesdays at 9 a.m. once the season is officially concluded, but they're still going right now Mondays at 9 a.m. So tune into that. Get all your baseball talk that you don't get here on the main show.
All right, there it is, man. So round of applause. The Cleveland Guardians did 2 things yesterday. They scored some runs.
Oh, they're still playing?
Yeah, they scored some runs, and they actually got a dub. And I'm gonna tell you, I tweeted out yesterday. I said, I wonder how many runs will the Guardians score on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. This is something that happens all the time. We sit up here, we talk about how bad they are, how horrible the offense is, and even if it's not like a overwhelming outpour of offensive performance, they still find a way to do the opposite of what we just talked about the day before. So, watch the game. What did you think of the performance yesterday?
No. Did I watch the game? I mean, I was watching Coco Gauff like everyone else who had, has a brain last night. I'm kidding. But
I don't have a brain. I was trying to prepare for this.
I'm teasing. I know people love the baseball here, and I do love the baseball, and I love to win. This team is very mid. They're a game under 500 right now. It doesn't appear that they're going to have a chance to make the playoffs. So, unless there's a miracle, guys. Do you see a path, Jason?
No.
Yeah, thank you.
No. The path.
Sorry to be Mr. Negative Nancy today, but
no, this is not a playoff team. They know they're not a playoff team, but the encouraging sign from yesterday, obviously, Parker Messick, 2 starts. He's looked really, really good. It's only 2 starts. Preface everything with it's only 2 starts. But he's got there's nothing extraordinary about him except his changeup. His fastball velocity is very average. But he limits hard contact. He doesn't give up barrels, and his changeup is a legit weapon, and that is what's going to carry him. Is sort of the arm side run that he gets with it, and just the way that he can mix his speeds. So, I mean, listen, it's 2 starts. They've been 2 terrific starts. I sent you guys something. I don't remember now what it was. One of 3 pitchers. In Guardians history.
Wasn't Savali one of them?
Savali and Luis Tiant. That's odd company to be in. But 6 innings, 1 or fewer runs allowed, and 6+ strikeouts in his first 2 starts. Aaron Savali, who also got off to a terrific start early in his career, and then obviously Tiant. So we'll see. Messick's going to get a lot of leash. He's going to be here the rest of the season, over the rest of the year, and certainly he's positioned himself for a spot in this rotation next year. But he's not overly dominant with the stuff, but he's getting outs, man, and he at least gives you a reason to watch right now.
All right, so hear me out. Even if he's not overly dominant, but we clearly see he can pitch at this level, right? Kyle Stevens, the guy that the Guardians acquired when we traded for Shane Bieber.
Yeah.
Maybe not this year, but I started thinking last night, like, all right, I don't really trust Tanner Bybee as the ace, and maybe this season could just be that he can turn it around. But, man, Gavin Williams, Tanner Bybee, Kyle Stevens, and now Parker Messick, the future I get it. It's 2 starts, I get it, and we haven't seen Kyle Stevens yet. But is that a fair rotation to start trying to envision in the future, Jason?
This has been such a disappointing year for Bybee. Williams has been up and down. There's been moments of like, okay, there it is. That's it. And, you would like to see him emerge and take that step. If anybody has the potential and the tools to be the ace, it certainly appears to be Gavin. He just needs to put it all together. And I do think Bybee will bounce back. I think this was a really humbling year for him. Next year's a huge – I mean, listen, he got his money. He's been paid. But next year's a big year for Bybee in terms of his numbers have gotten worse every year from his rookie year, and that's concerning. So he's got to make a flip next year. He's really got to go back in the lab and Look at it. Look at his pitch mix. Look at his stuff. See what's working. See what's not, and try and figure this thing out. John Means is rehabbing. He's going to be a rotation option, a veteran. Had some really good years in Baltimore. We'll see, coming off Tommy John, what he looks like next year. We might get a look at him before the end of the year. I don't know, but I think Means is a rotation option for next year. Ciccone has been okay. He's been hit hard in August. And we kept saying, like, when he was really rolling, we kept saying, okay, well, the metrics, the advanced metrics say that a crash is coming, and it's here. So what is he moving forward? He's certainly a piece to look at. I don't know that they have a top-end guy like they had with Bieber and like they had with Kluber before that. If anybody, it's Gavin. But right now, they haven't really had anybody that's really separated themselves. And I'm just most disappointed, I think, in Bibby's season.
Yeah, the other part of this, Carlos Santana was put on waivers yesterday. Yeah. I know, Jason, you kind of felt like that was a guy that the Guardians should have probably tried to move earlier, during the trade.
I just don't think there was a market for him at the trade deadline. So you by putting him on waivers, you're giving, really this is a courtesy to Carlos. Mm-hmm. And you're giving him an opportunity if a veteran team wants to take on the rest of his contract. I don't know that there's going to be a big market for him. I think a lot of teams that needed help addressed it at the trade deadline. So I don't know that anyone's going to claim him. But if he goes unclaimed, then the Guardians can either keep him or they can release him. But they've made pretty clear that the at-bats now are going to go to Manzardo and Kafis, which they need to.
They should have been going there already.
And the Santana signing I didn't love at the time. I understood what they were trying to do. You trade Naylor, you create an asset, you sign someone who's sort of that level replacement, who's better defensively, not as good offensively. Santana is much better defensively than Kyle Manzardo is at first base. But Manzardo needs the reps, man. Like, you just have to live with some of the errors that he's going to make. He's going to make errors, fielding and throwing. You got to live with it because he just has to sort of figure it out there. And again, fact-finding mission over the last month, kind of see what you have. And Kafis and Manzardo next year, Kafis can slide back to first and be sort of a timeshare between the two of them. One of them DHs, one of them plays first. Kafis has been okay and right. I haven't really looked at the advanced defensive metrics on him, but in the times I've seen him play, he looks comfortable enough out there. I don't know that you want him playing right field every day for the next 10 years, but they're getting by with it for right now. And Santana is not an everyday player anymore. He shouldn't be on this team or on another team. Hopefully there's another team that claims him, that finds a spot for him and wants that sort of veteran bat, pinch hitter off the bench, late game defensive replacement, that type of thing going to the postseason.
Got a few minutes before we bring on Leroy Hoard, but I was boothing yesterday during the show. Shout out to the chat. Somebody in the chat asked, Travis Bazzana, is there any opportunity now, seeing how the season has played out, that he come out and he can get some at bats to try to get some, major league at bats?
I don't think so. I think we don't see Bazzana until May of next year, because at this point, why start the contract clock now? And you could bring him up for September, and he could still start the year in AAA next year. He's had very, very few AAA at bats, which isn't as big of a deal anymore. Guys are spending less and less time in the minors. Obviously, we've already seen guys from his class come up and establish themselves as major leaguers. But given the injuries this year, I don't think we'll see him until after, because of service time issues. I don't think we'll see him till May of next year. I would not expect to see him in September. I hope I'm wrong.
I want to see my boy Jose break up out this little mini slump he's been in. Like, at least if the Guardians are not going to the playoffs, if this is what it's going to be for the duration of the season, man.
They're in a tough spot, and like, the season's long. You go through ups and downs like this, and they're just, obviously they won last night, but they won with a 3-run first inning, and then they didn't do anything the rest of the game. So they're in a tough spot. It's just a mental grind. It's been a really, really hard season for them, obviously, for a lot of different reasons. And at this point, you're just sort of crawling to the finish.
Just think about the job Stephen Vogt has done this year. Overall.
Very mixed. Last year everything seemed to go his way. This year they've had a lot more problems than what they did before. They've thrown a couple just absolute bombs at him. Who could have ever seen some of the gambling scandals that have plagued this year? The Bybee thing wasn't great the other night. He's being tested as a second-year manager, and you hope that he learns from this. And biggest part of managing is how you manage the bullpen, how you use the bullpen. And another big part of this is how you handle all of these personalities and how you the best part of Mike Hargrove as a manager in the 90s was the way that he dealt with all those guys, because you had a ton of big personalities, and the way that he sort of kept everyone in check and kept that locker room moving was a credit to him. And one of Tito's biggest strengths is his ability to connect with guys and relate with guys. This is tough, man. And how they play over the last month and how Vogt sort of keeps a handle on things will show a lot about what kind of manager he is and what he needs to improve on going into next year.
Yeah, I think, adversity builds character. And, Stephen Vogt seems to be a guy that he's a player's coach or player skipper, so to speak, right? And even when us from the outside was looking at this situation and we could see it spiraling out of control, whether we agree with it or not, he came in front of the cameras and he always, seemed like he was champion for his baseball team. But this was one of those seasons to where, as you said, he got tested. And you're going to get tested when you're a young manager. But for him, he's a former player. And the same roller coaster ride as a player, I'm sure it showed itself, and he was able to bounce back, and he had a solid career. So it'd be interesting to see. You mentioned Mike Hargrove, and it made me think about another podcast I was watching with David Justice.
Yeah.
And he said Manny Ramirez was the best hitter he ever played with throughout his entire career.
Yeah.
Just Manny was just that dude. You go back to those teams in the 90s, man. I want to get back there so bad, so bad.
Well, it's not coming anytime soon. We'll wait and see when new ownership takes over. But the idea of stacking a lineup like that with the stars that they had, those days are over.
All right, man, we got Leroy yet?
No, I actually just got an update that he'll be on in a few minutes. But we do have a Quinshon Judkins update. So do you want to hit on that real fast from what Tom Withers tweeted?
Yeah, let me go to it. So Tom Withers tweeted that Quinshon Judkins, the NFL spokesman, said that the matter is still under review. Browns still just have 2 running backs currently on the roster, but is expected to add one in the coming days. So as the fans continue to, question when Quinshon will be available to us, it don't seem like the end is nearing for him. Just on that point. You got Isaiah Bond, you got Devin Bush, and you have Quinshon Judkins, to where the NFL is still reviewing these matters. And you wonder how it's going to play out, man. What's the possibility that, how do you think these guys miss time, how much time, things like that?
Oh, my God. I mean, the amount of time that is going to be missed, I have no idea. I mean,
on Judkins?
On Judkins, we're talking about?
No, just all 3 players who have had these issues.
Man, I don't know. Is Judkins even in shape?
How could he be? How could he be in game shape?
Well, you hope he's in just shape enough to come out here and be able to play. He's been working out, you'd assume, but to be in game shape is probably not likely.
It'd be a good question for Leroy.
Yeah.
Let's get a read in, and then we bring in Leroy Hoard to the show.
Yeah, guys, before Leroy joins us, this episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. Fantasy football is back. Fire up the group chat and get your draft board ready, and buckle up for a season filled with breakouts, busts, and all the overreactions that we live for. It's all going down right now on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, UCSS is back playing on Yahoo Fantasy, and if you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league. And to celebrate 28 years of fantasy greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days, giving you more ways to play, more ways to draft, and more ways to win. And it all begins right on August 4th. So stay tuned and get started by creating or joining your Yahoo Fantasy Football League at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL, and let's make this fantasy season the best one yet. Speaking of running backs, Leroy Hoard.
Leroy.
What's up, fellas?
How you
What's
feeling?
happening?
I'm looking up a little bit because I dropped my computer, and so I had to hook my computer up to a screen. And so the screen is above. Oh man, it was brutal. But yeah, I heard what you guys were talking about. It, man, I don't understand, and this only happens in sports. right? That regardless of what happens to you, criminally, the league still feels like the law wasn't good enough. We have to come in and determine your fate. And I don't know how much of a problem I have with it. I don't know how I should feel about it, but you live by these rules of people just sitting in a room saying, that doesn't look right. I think we need to do something, even if he's innocent or not. And I don't know how to feel about that. So when you say, hey, these charges got thrown out for whatever reason, I don't know what the reasons are, right? Then he goes, but now he has to go through the league. And I'm like, that always worries me because the league is going to get a feel for how people are viewing the situation and not necessarily what he did or didn't do.
So, Leroy, is that something that, like, the next time that the NFLPA and the NFL do a collective bargaining agreement, is that something that players should really, really have the people that's in charge kind of take a look at? Because I tend to agree with you as far as not knowing how to feel about it, right? Because when, we got a legal system in this country. And if the legal system deems that you have not done anything wrong and then your employer tries to act like they're above the law, I can understand how that makes people uneasy.
Well, it doesn't make people uneasy. It's only unfair for the player. But for people, they always think, and here's what drives me crazy about the world we live in, right? If you're found innocent and people think you're guilty, they'll say you got away with it. And so now they're looking for the league. Don't let him get away with this. You see what I mean? Like, at no point, if you get accused of something, charged with something, or whatever, whether you're guilty or innocent, right? You got to deal with all of these situations and circumstances. Now, again, I don't know how much of this situation is where the NFL comes in and says, no, you might not have been charged, but we did something and something happened here. Like, I don't know how much of that is, but it seems like they seem to be getting more evidence than the actual law. So I don't know how to feel about it. I would say this is that as far as whether he's going to be in shape, no, he's not going to be in shape because there's a couple of things you got to go through as a running back. And I like him, and I think he's going to be, for what the Browns do at that position, he's going to fit right in. But there's certain things you got to go through during camp. I had to have like maybe 10, 15 carries in the preseason so I know how to fall. I knew how to protect the ball. I knew how to get hit. I knew how to prepare to get hit. I knew how to fall to the ground. And if you don't ever experience these things and the first time you do is during the regular season, like, you're going from 0 to 100. So there's certain things he's going to have to go through.
I want to go back to what you were talking about with the personal conduct policy because I think that's fascinating. But real quick, how long? Because you just said it. There's no way he's going to be in shape. He's already missed all training camp and all preseason, and he's a rookie, so he's never gone through this before. So how long do you think? Say he magically signs today, and he's not going to. How long you think it will take him before you can put him out on the field?
I'm going to tell you how this works, right? You ever been in a fight and you thought you was just playing and you was just slap fighting and then your boy punch you in the mouth and you're like, oh, and then you wake up, right? That's about how it goes. You think in your mind, you understand how this football is going to be played and you anticipate what it's going to feel like. And then you actually get hit, and you're like, oh, no, whoa. So that's about how it's going to go.
I want to go back to what you said because it's a great point. This personal conduct policy was adopted basically in response to Ray Rice, right?
Correct.
Because so the NFL was catching all sorts of heat from the public, from the media on the handling of Ray Rice. They had to come up with something. This is what they came up with. Mm-hmm. I do think that there's a difference in your life on the line, jail time, something on your record, and hey, it's a privilege to play in the NFL. You're going to sit 4 or 5 games because something happened.
Agreed.
So it's not, and I'll go back to like Deshaun. Do you think Deshaun should have been, do you think Deshaun did anything wrong, and should Deshaun face any sort of punishment from the NFL because the court system said there's not enough here for us to do anything about it?
Different situation. A lot of the reason why Deshaun didn't have to do a lot of that stuff because he settled, right? Mm-hmm. And what happens is in a lot of these court deals is if you settle, then those people don't testify, right? Or sometimes they testify in order to get a civil suit. So there was a lot of other stuff going on there. I don't know if this is that situation. I don't know if there's, hey, we went and talked to, the person involved in the situation and worked out a settlement, and they decided that we're just going to drop the case or we're not going to testify because then the courts don't have, somebody to question about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. But the other thing with Deshaun is that it wasn't just one person.
Right.
You see what I mean? And here's what I would say. One of the reasons why I get so nervous about these situations is because if somebody knows you have money and somebody knows what your situation is, and if somebody wants to get back at you, they can file a charge.
Yep.
And so if the court says nothing's there, you just wanted to get, you wanted to get back at this person for whatever reason, right?
Yep.
And is the NFL then coming over the top and say, oh well, if they filed if they went to court with it or they filed charges, then something must have been there, and then you get penalized. And I think of this. You remember the case at Duke? Was it Duke?
Duke lacrosse
lacrosse team.
13.
They got kicked out of school.
Yep.
They got banned. They got all this, and then 5 months later, the girl said, "I made it up."
Yeah.
How do you like? You did everything to make it look good, but you didn't do what was right.
And I think
that's where I believe in the court system. Right? I think everybody should get a fair shake at it. But at the same time, you don't know what the other person's motives are.
And I think that's why the NFL does investigate these, because the Mike Hall case, I was in the courtroom because it happened literally around the corner from my house where
right.
his hearing was. So I went. And it was clear something happened. And it may not, and his girlfriend didn't want to pursue the case or everything, and even the judge was sitting up there like, all right, well, here's the path that we're going to go, then here's the path we have to go, but something happened. So I do think that there's a place for the policy, but I'm with you on, it would be nice to get a little bit more transparency on why they find what they find or why they come to the decisions that they come to. It just came out during the show, Rashee Rice is going to get 6 games. I think I read that right. 6 games for
right.
Rashee
Yes.
Rice.
But that's a whole nother different situation.
Yes.
We all know what happened there.
Yes.
You see what I mean? There's all kinds of stuff going on there. And so, yeah, I understand that. I understand that as an athlete, you have to be careful with what circumstances and situations you put yourself in. And clearly, Rashee Rice, that was reckless. That was reckless. Mm-hmm. Okay? And that can't happen. And there's evidence, there's proof, there's whatever. Right? And you may be able to buy yourself out of serious court or serious jail time or whatever, but you still have to deal with the NFL because there's evidence But when it gets to the evidence of he said, she said, this is what happened, like that becomes a little more difficult to determine what actually happened.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, let's talk some on the field here as the Browns announced their the roster cuts and the 53-man roster. We see that they ended up trading Kenny Pickett, which was a surprise, late to Las Vegas for a 5th-round pick.
Was it? Were you shocked?
I was surprised what they got.
They got something. Were you shocked?
They got the same asset back that they traded for him, which that never happens. You know what I mean? So,
right.
And he didn't play for the Browns, is my point. Anyway,
right.
Neither here nor there. The question I have for you is, are you surprised that the Browns have Joe Flacco starting with 2 rookies behind him, 2 rookie backups?
No, why? This you got to start somewhere, right? If Kevin Stefanski can develop talent, stop trying to develop old people. Get them young, right? This has to start somewhere. And for so many years, you brought in a veteran and said, okay, this is what Kevin Stefanski can do. And now he has young players, and they've tried to bring young players in before, but it was young players that we didn't think highly of and needed a lot of development. And they were thrust into situations that did not help their development, I might add. It wasn't their fault. It wasn't Kevin Stefanski's fault. That's just football when, for some reason, the Browns always get 5 quarterbacks hurt a year, right? It happened. I can't explain it, but a lot of young guys who were supposed to be developing have been thrust into situations with the Browns that maybe they weren't ready for, and then we view those guys as terrible quarterbacks. Now you have 2 young guys. You drafted one in the 3rd round, one in the 5th round, and I will say this. You've seen something out of both of them that's worthy of development. And let's just go from there. My thing is we all know Joe Flacco, right? Joe Flacco going to give you 4 or 5 of the greatest weeks at quarterback you've ever seen. And you're going to be pumping your fist. We're going to be go dog pound or whatever. But then what is Joe Flacco going to do?
Well,
he's done, and that's, I don't know whether it's because of his age. I don't know because but he's done it now at a couple of spots, right? He did it when he was with the Browns. He did it when he went to Indy. Like that, I don't know why, but Joe Flacco let me tell you something. Joe Flacco gonna start out playing some of the best. Him and Jameis Winston are the 2 quarterbacks that just baffle me. Because I like them both, right? I think they're talented. I think they're good leaders. I think they do a lot of things to help a football team. But then they have those weeks. Like Jameis. How great was Jameis Winston when he came into the game? Right? Oh, my goodness.
It was a fun month,
throwing dimes. Right. So I think that's the part of all of this, if you're a Browns fan, that scares the hell out of you. Because now you're going to have to use one of these young guys.
All right, Leroy. So speaking of scared, you talked about Kevin Stefanski and the development of the quarterbacks. And I think that there is a large portion of this Cleveland Browns fan base that don't necessarily trust Kevin Stefanski when it comes to that. There's also another portion of this fan base that's quite frankly ready to move on from Andrew Berry. You look at this previous draft class and you talk about Kevin, kind of being patient with the development. What do Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry need to do, or how does this season need to play out in order for you to feel comfortable with both of those men returning next year for the 2026 season?
What I would say for Andrew Berry is this. Show me that you're evaluating the talent and you're getting more talent on the field and getting some depth at a few positions that if one guy gets hurt, you're done. So maybe some depth at secondary. You brought in some linebacker help. You brought in some help up front, right? maybe some depth at offensive line, right? Try to set up your team that if one guy gets hurt, it's not chaos and you're done, right? You're trying to do that at quarterback. I don't necessarily know when you look at the guys that were available at quarterback, you can't definitively tell me that there was somebody that you could have brought in that would have been ready to go right away, like a guy of that stature. So at quarterback, I understand what they did. They tried to, get running back. I'm a little nervous about running back because you only got 2. Might be the smallest running back room I've ever seen, right? As of right now. You got Junkins. We don't know what his situation's going to be, right? So I'm worried about that, even though we've already talked about it. I'm a little nervous about that. What are you going to do? I mean, I still think they have some talent offensively. I still think they're going to be based on being aggressive, running the football, play action, stuff like that. That's right in Joe Flacco's wheelhouse, right? And you're going to be able to compete. That's what I want to see from Andrew Berry, from Kevin Stefanski. Can we just say in the last 4 years, if I make this statement, we feel differently about Kevin Stefanski? If he had a healthy quarterback, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the chaos that has happened back there. So while I understand people get tired. They get tired. They want to move on because it's not working. I get that. But I always look at it from this standpoint. Could I have put anybody else in Kevin Stefanski's position and said, this guy would have did better than what we got with all the circumstances that had gone on? And that's a question I can't answer. And until I can answer that question, I'm going to say, you got to stick with Kevin Stefanski. Like, because if you bring another guy in, he's going to want his guys, he's going to want his system, and then you're going to have another turnaround for another 2-3 years. And people forget about that point. Like, they changed coaches really quick in Denver. But look how long it took them. It took them a couple of years. Are you ready for that? Are you prepared for that? Are you willing to say, you know what, I'm going to eat it for a couple of years? Because what happens with impatience is if a guy comes in and doesn't have success right away, you're going to say, blow it up again.
Leroy, he had a freaking pandemic 2 months after he's hired. And I'm the Kevin apologist around here, right? Like, I think he's actually pretty good. He does a pretty good job.
I do too. I agree with you.
And I think he'd have another job tomorrow if the Browns ever fired him, because there's a lot of people around the league who really respect him. But he had a freaking pandemic 2 months after he was hired. He navigated the Odell Baker wars, the Baker shoulder disaster injury, the Deshaun, it's been one calamity after another, after another, after another. And I don't want to relitigate history, but I mean, he's had a ton of stuff thrown at him that only the Browns, man. There's no other explanation other than it's just the Browns.
If I were to say I have had one issue with all of this, I would say this is where it kind of went sideways for me. I did not have a problem with what the Browns did to get Deshaun Watson. However, you were not good enough to bring in a guy for that much money and have him sit out for the first 10 games. And if I were making that decision, I don't care how good or great Deshaun Watson was, I would have not signed a quarterback that was going to sit out for the first 10 games that I was going to have to rely on.
Yeah.
And maybe the quarterback that I brought in wouldn't have been as good. But I would be willing to live with that because it's hard it is hard, and everybody was put behind the 8 ball just based on the suspension that Deshaun Watson had to start his Browns career.
Leroy, let's flip it on the other side of the ball. When you look at those 2 rookies in Mason Graham and Carson Schlesinger, that's going to be out there with those veterans right away. How do you think they're going to help take the Browns defense to the next level?
Well, Mason is energy, a ball of energy, and I look at Schlesinger. I look at him like Van Ginkel. Like he has the build of Van Ginkel that plays for the Vikings. Van Ginkel played with the Dolphins, so I'm familiar with him. He has that kind of energy that he can play, right? And you know how you know he can play? He got the green dot on his helmet already. So that means he's mature enough to get the information, relay it to his team. They respect him enough to listen to what he has to say, right? So that's 2 additions to that defensive line. And let's keep in mind, okay, let's be clear. We all doing this on the front 7 for one guy. And that's so Myles Garrett can do what Myles Garrett does. And if you can get other players to take some of that attention off of him, then he's going to continue to do what he's been doing. If you have a front 7 that can get after the quarterback and stop the run, it takes some of the pressure off the secondary, right? And that's kind of, if there's any questions, that's where the questions are, right? In the secondary as far as depth, how you going to, approach this year when guys get banged up. But if you can solidify that front 7, you can support whatever moves you make in that secondary.
You surprised they cut their kicker after they just gave him all that guaranteed money?
I don't know. The
reason I ask is it's fascinating to me because it seems like you cut a kicker who performed poorly last year and in the preseason, and you're like, yeah, we can't win like that. Like, we need you to win. Well, that tells me that the Browns are trying to win. You know what I mean? They're trying to win games.
Yeah. Here's the problem. There are a lot of teams in the league that are working on small margins, meaning that your margin for error is not that great, right? It also means that every opportunity you get, you need to take advantage of it. And sometimes when you have a kicker that's not making field goals, it's putting you in a bad spot. And so I think they're like, hey man, we got to make we got to make some changes here. Now, I don't know why, but man, it's a lot of missed field goals, right?
A lot.
That's a lot. Like, I like, man, think about this. When I was in Minnesota, we went to the NFC Championship game, and our field goal kicker missed 1 field goal all year. 1 field goal all year. And it was at the worst time of the season, and we lost the game. 1 field goal. And last year, when he missed 9? Yikes. Like, and let's keep in mind, like, we had this conversation down here. Can I just say this? And this is no disrespect for kickers. No disrespect to kickers. Because everybody may hate kickers, but you're going to need one. Mm-hmm. But think about this. If I pick a position on the field, that's the easiest to replace. That I could go find another one. What position is that?
Kicker.
Kicker.
Leroy,
Kicker.
I get you out of here on this one. We opened up the show. We was talking about we was watching Netflix and America's Team, the Dallas Cowboys documentary. And throughout the first 6 episodes, you see some flashes of the Cleveland Browns. Now you play for the Browns and the Vikings. Give us something on Jerry Jones, your best Jerry Jones story, your best Dallas Cowboys story from that time.
Here's how, well, when we were with the Browns, and it was the year we went to the playoffs, and we played Dallas. Remember, we beat Dallas because they came up short at the end of the game. people don't realize our bus got in a crash on the way to the stadium.
I don't remember that.
It got in a crash. Some lady ran a red light, hit the bus. So the people had to get off the first bus and get onto the second bus, and we was all sitting on top of each other going to the game. Wow. That was the start. But here's what I was saying about Jerry Jones, and keep in mind, he got one of the most expensive franchises in the world. But here's what I would say. You cannot win in the NFL if you have 5 of the highest paid players at their position and you not winning. And he waits and waits and waits until he end up paying these guys as the highest paid at their position. He did it with Dak. He's done it with CD Lamb. And now he's doing it with and if you have 3 or 4 or 5 of the highest paid players at their position, you're supposed to be winning.
And he infuriates them during negotiations every time.
Right. Right. I'm not going to question what this man has done to make him have the most expensive franchise in the world. One of the. But I will say this. It's not a good business model if you paying the most money for so many positions and you can't even get out of the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we sitting here complaining about the Browns cutting a kicker.
Well, I wasn't complaining. I was just asking if it tells you a story.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
Yeah.
Hey, Leroy, man, we appreciate you, man. Go be great. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, man. Y'all too. Y'all do it.
All right, take care, man. And what's up next for us?
Guys, we're heading on over to basketball here, but quick reminder that August 26th was yesterday and it was FanDuel's Future Day. But if you missed out on that, you can still go and take a flyer on the MVP race, or you can crown your Super Bowl champion over on the app. Go ahead, visit FanDuel app today. Start planning out what you want to do your bets. FanDuel, play your game.
All right, Jason, Dustin, man, this sucks to get this news. I went to sleep yesterday, woke up, found out Max Strus got hurt. Apparently, he had surgery to repair a Jones fracture in his left foot and will miss around 3 to 4 months. The team announced on Tuesday. Talk about a big blow to this team right ahead of training camp before the season starts.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I've had this exact same injury. I had surgery on my foot, had a screw put in. This is when I was in Philadelphia at the time. It's a very common injury. You break, so this is your foot. Mm-hmm. It's that bone right there on the, so like your pinky and your foot, so it's right in there, that 5th metatarsal, and you break it, and it gets no blood flow there, so you have to have a surgery. They put a screw in, it stays in forever. I still have a screw in my foot, and he'll be out for 6 weeks from now, and he'll come back and he'll be fine. Like there's gonna be no like residual impacts from this. Like they fix it and it's good. So it sucks. Timing sucks, but for the important part of the season, he's gonna be just fine.
6 weeks? Were you back in 6 weeks?
Probably not like playing football 100%, but back running.
Because the only reason I was surprised by that, Kevin Durant had a Jones fracture when he was with the Thunder and missed 2 months. I think he came back early, and it wound up wrecking the season. They had to go back in and do a second procedure. And Zion, it basically missed over a year. But it was,
well, you don't want to rush back, is my point.
Yeah, and that's why I think the Cavs put 3 to 4 months on their initial timeline to return to basketball activities, because I think maybe you learned something from the other guys who've gone through it, because KD only missed 2 months, and I don't know if he came back too soon, but it wrecked his whole year, and then Zion missed over a year. So if you don't take care of it, I think it can have some long-lasting effects. So I think that's why they went 3 to 4 months on the front side of it, to try and make sure that they give this thing enough time.
That's probably the right number for him to be playing basketball again. I'm saying like in 6 weeks he's going to be jogging on it.
Okay.
And starting, like his rehab will be intensifying before 2 months. I had it done in the off season. I know that like 6 weeks later I was out of the boot. There's no cast.
Okay.
Like I was walking around like not really limited in that capacity. So sorry if I misspoke about 6 weeks. He's not going to be on the court in 6 weeks, but he'll be
moving around.
Yeah, and okay, so 3 months from now, it's August 27th.
Yeah.
Do the math.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It's going to be the very, very early part of the season where he's got plenty of time.
Yeah, I mean, he missed 2 months last year and they won 64 games. And he missed 2 months to start the year with a high ankle sprain. So, they're going to be fine. It will. I mean, Sam Merrill already was going to have an increased role with Darius Garland out, but Sam now is a guy they're really going to count on. He got the contract, now he's going to have to earn it. I would like to see DeAndre Hunter slide into the starting lineup in place of Strus. I thought he should have been there all along. I know all the numbers say they were great with Max, and that's fine, but I also saw them get exposed a little bit by some bigger teams when Max was on the floor. So I just like the length and the defense that DeAndre provides. So, I mean, they got time. They're going to be without Darius and now Max to start the year. I don't think it's that big of a deal. They've got the weapons. They've got depth. They can mix and match to start the year. If anything, this will allow Kenny to get creative a little bit and experiment and see what he likes and what he doesn't like. We saw that with him last year. That's going to continue. It's all about April, May, and June with this team. And do they have the talent necessary to make a deep run and to beat really good teams in the playoffs? So this has zero impact on that.
Yeah, for me, on your journey on the way to trying to pursue a championship, there will be peaks and valleys, there will be bumps in the road, and there will be adversity. And I think that the only con to it, to start the season is Max Strus is respected in that locker room. He's one of the vocal leaders. Me, Spencer Davies, and Ethan Sands kind of had this conversation yesterday, and so that element of what he provides will be missed. I think it sucks for him because you'll miss anywhere from Dustin, 28 to 30-something games. Then you got to get yourself back into shape and then work yourself back into the rotation. On the flip side of that, though, it's not like we're talking about the loss of a Evan Mobley or a Donovan Mitchell, and if anything, I think it will help increase the usage for Evan Mobley, and of course Donovan Mitchell will do what he do. But DeAndre Hunter in the starting lineup, I can get with that. I guess with this though, Jason, it makes me wonder about okay, what would the production look like coming off the bench? You talked about Sam Merrill's role. We talked about the rookie Proctor, and I know rookies really don't get that expanded role, but he did play at Duke. He is a veteran collegiate player. And now here we are without two guards to start the season. The chances that he might get more of a role than anticipated increasing is, what say you?
He might get an opportunity early now. Certainly, I think Jalen Tyson's a guy who's going to get increased minutes. We saw a little bit of last year. We'll see more of. Dean Wade obviously had struggles in the playoffs. They're really going to count on him. He may be an option at that starting three. We talked early last year before the Hunter trade. I really liked that lineup with Wade at the three while Max was out. They just had some chemistry there, and obviously he's a pretty good three-point shooter, pretty good defender, pretty good rebounder. So they've got guys. They're going to have opportunities to put this thing together, see how it looks, mix and match, and be ready to go. If anything, this is just an opportunity, like I said, for Kenny to figure out who plays well with who.
It's kind of been like the theme of this entire show, right? Figure out what you got, see what you have, and for Kenny Atkinson, I think he's very innovative. And the one thing about the Cleveland Cavaliers is that's a tight knit group. They've already bought into what it is Kenny wants him to do, and they've already spent a lot of time together this off season, trying to build up the necessary energy to go out here and chase this championship. And so I think Kenny is up to that challenge. And, if Lonzo Ball, which is a big deal, if Lonzo Ball and Larry Nance Jr. is healthy, I think it kind of helps, balance things out, even though Strus and DG won't be there to start the season.
Yeah, there'll be heavy restrictions on Ball, and there should be. You're probably not going to see him in any back-to-backs this year, nor should you. They should be pretty protective with him. He's obviously got a long injury history. And again, it's all about having him ready, healthy and ready by April.
Let me ask you guys this, because I tweeted this out. We're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of the championship season.
Crazy.
And I know a lot of us was, pretty down on the Cavs because of the disappointing second-round exit. And I know, for me, for everybody on this panel, what they do overall in the regular season, really won't mean a thing. We're going to get excited for those moments that come and go. But what's your thoughts on this upcoming season? How do you feel about, just what it could end up being when we get to the playoffs? Are you past what happened last year yet? Are you ready to go?
Am I past it? No, but I have to be. And here's the thing that stinks about the whole situation is the fact that we have to go through another 82 games where it's like, okay, well, this is great. This is, we won 64 last year. What did we win? 50-something the year before. Like, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It does matter, but it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things in terms of like our talking points. And so we're going to come in here and Mikey's going to do all these awesome breakdowns and we're going to talk about how great this pick and roll game is or this, whatever, this screen there. But it's like, okay, well, can we beat Boston? Can we beat the Knicks? I mean, can you beat the Pacers? Can you beat the Magic? Like all these things are going to be talked about until we're blue in the face, yet we're all going to have no answer. Which, sorry.
It's funny because you say 82 games. I mean, I'll take it a step further. It might be 86 to 89 because I don't think anybody is worried about the Cleveland Cavaliers getting out the first round of the playoffs.
Not either.
I think all of us collectively as a fan base, as a city, and people who just love this team, we're going to get through the regular season, do what we have to do, and then once that second round comes, we're going to be like, here we go.
All right, let's see what you got.
It's time to pay attention, but, I put this on X, I think earlier this week or last week of how, call me crazy. Maybe this is just that fandom that shows up in me all the time, Jason, to where I like a good storyline. This is the 10-year anniversary. You just look at all the pitfalls, all the things that this team has been through, and the fact that this unit has stayed together and went through the adversity together. You look at how the Eastern Conference is aligning, and you just look at all those factors, and you just wonder, is this the year that the Cleveland Cavaliers can put it all together and actually just go out here and get these things done? Because they say, man, you got to crawl before you walk, you got to walk before you run, and They say humility before honor. I don't know how much more humiliated we can be after having the best record in the Eastern Conference and going home in the second round.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's over. I don't think anybody in that building's over what happened last year. But they got about another month, and then you better be over it because it's time to go. And you have no choice but to flush it at that point. So, yeah, I'm not excited for the season yet. I'll get there. We still have time. We still got a little bit of time on that, and we'll see what they look like. The East is wide open for them. It's wide open. There's the Knicks. There's the Magic, the Cavs. I like the Hawks. I've been told no, the Hawks are not in that group yet. So, okay, fine. But between the Knicks, the Cavs, and the Magic, I think the Cavs can beat either one of those teams. It is a little bit concerning that they are two very physical teams, and that's still sort of this team's weakness. But I've said it before, if hearing for when did they go out? May, June, July, August. If hearing for 4 months, 5 months, how soft you guys are, if that isn't motivation,
then you're soft.
Then you're soft, yeah. I don't know what else there is.
So you all tell me about this because a couple months ago, me and Spencer German was on the radio, and we had, I think it was Cam Justice on. And Cam had talked about that she sat down with new assistant coach Jawad Williams. And one of the things that Jawad talked to Kenny about was implementing more tougher practices, tougher habits. Because the thought process is if you practice tougher, it starts upstairs, and then you become mentally tougher. And hopefully that transfers over into real life games. And we've talked about the lack of toughness being a part of this team that's missing. And I can only assume, like you all said, you get put in those situations, plus, you kind of get knocked on your behind a few times. Eventually you get up and you don't want that to happen to you again, and you understand the moment and you put yourself in position to where that's not the case. And I know you want to kind of get this Jacoby Myers thing again. Hot take for all the basketball gurus here. I think this is, by the end of this season, I think we'll start having a new conversation and we'll witness a changing of the guard. I think by the time we get to the playoffs, we'll be doing content on, is Evan Mobley now the best player overall on this team? And not because Donovan Mitchell regressed, but Evan Mobley has put in the work and has finally become the Cleveland Cavaliers' overall best player.
He better be. That's the only way they're going to win a championship, is if he's the best player.
Big facts. What you got next, man?
Yeah, guys, we talked about the wide receiver room a little bit earlier, but before we get back to it, I want to remind everybody to go follow us on social media on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Luke Becker does a great job of posting extra clips from the show on Instagram and TikTok. If you missed any of the highlights, you can find them there. You can also find highlights cut by Earl over on X. Go follow us, like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Keep up with everything we do throughout the day because we're basically a 24/7 organization at this point.
Yeah, by the way, man, if you're watching today's show, smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a family member. Make sure you catch all the Ultimate spinoff shows, the Ultimate Cavs show, the Ultimate Brown show, of course, the Ultimate 216 show with myself and Cecil Shorts, and the Ultimate Guardian show with Zach Meisel and Adam the Bull. So we talked a lot of Cleveland Browns today. We looked at the initial 53-man roster. None of us is really impressed with what we see in the wide receiver room. Jacoby Myers of the Las Vegas Raiders kind of requested a trade because he wants a new deal. Is that somebody that Andrew Berry should consider looking at?
I don't know enough about the player in terms of, like, is he a good fit, personality-wise, character, all those things. I'm not even going down that road, but, I mean, productivity on the field is pretty darn good. You know, taking a look at what he did last year. I mean, had a ton of touchdowns in his career, so he knows how to find the end zone. And I don't know that he's had the best quarterbacks throwing in the football either, to be fair. So, yeah, of course. I mean, it's a name that I recognize, and it's a guy that, you know, would come in and instantly be the number 2 receiver on this team.
He would, and he'd be an upgrade in talent, but I'm going to say no because he's looking for a new deal. He's got no guaranteed money left on his deal. He's 28. He's going to be 29. We know the 30 cliff is coming, and this is a team that isn't really going anywhere this year. So would he upgrade the room? Absolutely.
Sure.
But again, what do you have in Cedric Tillman? What do you have in Jamari Thrash? By the time we get to the end of the season, you should have a pretty good feel on those guys. Are these pieces that you can build with moving forward or not? If this were last year and the Browns felt like they were in position to win, or a couple years ago and they felt like they were one piece away, yeah, okay, then we'll entertain this conversation. I don't think this team is in that space right now, so it doesn't make a lot of sense to bring in a 28-year-old receiver and pay him big money when you don't have a quarterback. And you don't necessarily think that this is probably going to end in a playoff team. And I don't know, Jacoby Myers would want to come to Cleveland of all the spots for him to land because, again, he's looking for money. I guess if you're going to pay him a new deal, he'll go anywhere. But that's the big thing with him right now is he's going to want a new contract.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Jason. I mean, he will upgrade the room, but and Andrew Berry's tenure here as the general manager, trading for a wide receiver that's 28, 29 years old, just don't seem like that's something that he will do, especially if he has to turn around and hand that young man a new deal. Now, most people might say, well, you're probably going to give up, a 6th or 7th round pick if you make that deal, but still, on the flip side of it, he is looking for a new contract. And so any team that makes a trade for Jacoby Myers, you got to be willing to pay him. Right. And then if you look at it, this is how I look at it. Because I was one of the people who felt like, okay, Gabe Davis is sitting out there, you know, not a guy that's the biggest name, but he can come in and he can help the situation. If the Cleveland Browns were going to add a veteran wide receiver, you know, to what they have right now in this room, I felt like they would have already done so. And when they went and added a wide receiver, they chose Isaiah Bond. So that should let you know right now, got a room full of young guys, and let's just see what they can do, and we'll take it from there. But, you know, Jamari Thrash is a guy that continues to, you know, come to my mind as guys that outside of Jerry Jeudy, you might see the most production from. It just seems like he had a strong camp, and we didn't see many guys in many positions kind of move up the depth chart, but he was ahead of Deontay Johnson on that last depth chart that Kevin Stefanski put out ahead of the Rams game. So,
and you know where Deontay Johnson is today?
Yeah.
Not in Cleveland.
Not in Cleveland. So, yeah. That's that. We're done. We got any super chats, final thoughts, any things like that?
Yeah, I got a couple super chats here for you guys. You want to do that before you want to do your thing to end the show, or do you want to do them at the very end?
Yeah, we do final thoughts at the very end. Figure we'll do some final thoughts about stuff that's not necessarily sports related. Cool. Kind of bring that back.
All right, you guys ready? So this first one comes from Mike Rick, and I can't see the rest of the name. I'm sorry about that, Mike. The last time we saw D-Hop in his remarkable 2023 season was pulling a hamstring during a busted kick return. How much do you think that had an effect on him in 2024 before the missed kick started getting into his head?
No. I don't think the hamstring had anything to do with it. It's very much a mental. It's for sure. Kicking's mental. It's like a golf swing. But I don't think the injury necessarily.
I think it was more of the missed kicks than the injury. And I know, like, man, when you kicking downtown Cleveland, we've heard a lot of kickers not named Phil Dawson talk about that is a very tough place to kick. Phil used to sound like my guy Dale Earnhardt singer. Phil used to swear up and down he could see the wind. I know which way the wind is going.
Oh, he knew it.
I can see the air.
Yeah.
Like, I know exactly how to hit this thing.
But how many years did it take him to get comfortable with that? To get to that point.
Took a while.
Yeah, and we don't have any kickers stick around here long enough to get to know that stadium. No one will be happier to see a dome than the kickers of the Cleveland Browns.
They'll be like, yes.
Be a big improvement. All right, next one, guys. James Mace Jr. says Stefanski had Baker.
In reference to what?
I'm not sure, and I don't know when that came in at. I was not keeping an eye on the chat.
We were talking about with Leroy how Stefanski's never had a quarterback that's been healthy.
Yeah, the whole Baker Wars thing and the whole shoulder injury, like people
It's
think
tough to have that conversation because you don't know.
There's so much nuance that people think Kevin is the one that kept running him out there week after week after week. First of all, Baker wanted to play.
Mm-hmm.
He needed a contract, and ownership needed to determine if he was worthy of a contract, and the front office needed to determine if he was worthy of a contract extension. This went well beyond the head coach running him out there every week. Like, those guys aren't always in charge of every decision that's made.
Yeah, man, I go back to that game versus Houston, and it's like, you know, what if Anthony Schwartz actually runs
the route? Yeah.
Or what if, like, just Baker just gets out the way when you see Justin Reed coming your way? Or
there was still so much there with Baker, off-field stuff, and he was a bit of an emotional disaster, and I think he would tell you that. Like, I'm not speaking out. It's like I think he would tell you that.
I'll be real.
There was a lot going on.
That was early on for me, and I used to be at the Fan answering phones for the post-game show, and you all know, like, you get the audio from the press conferences and things like that. And we had a home game. I think we had just beat the Detroit Lions, barely, and I just remember being told Baker opted not to speak to the media.
Oh, my, I remember that.
And the only thing I could think about was, we just won, and the starting quarterback don't want to talk to the media.
Yep.
This is a relationship between a team and a player that is sour and fast, but I do agree that decision was above Kevin Stefanski. I kind of always looked at that like this was one of those things that Baker really ticked Jimmy off. Jimmy got emotional and said, you know what? I don't care who it is. Go give me another quarterback because I am not about to sit up here and just deal with this.
I don't know if that's true, but I do know that he stopped taking their calls. So, like, he wouldn't answer the owner's calls, and he wouldn't answer the head coach's calls. So when you get to that point in things, yeah, and that was before they made the move for Deshaun.
Yeah,
that was in that. There's just a lot. There's a lot there with Baker. It's not as simple as you played a guy who was hurt, you morons. Of course, he didn't play well. It was a lot deeper than that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Our next one here comes from Yoshi, 2006. Sorry. I have always said that all four were Stefanski guys. Can't we just say that Stefanski made the decision to keep his three? I think he was exerting his stroke. Thoughts?
Are we talking quarterbacks?
Quarterbacks that they kept now?
All four quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't keep four. They kept three.
They kept three.
I mean, if all four was, it just, to me, like I said, man, I joke a lot about playing video games. You can't even keep four quarterbacks on Madden. So keeping four quarterbacks on your roster just didn't seem ideal. I kind of felt like it created more confusion than not. You know, we kind of be looking for clarity. And it seemed like we are always left with unanswered questions. But I'm cool with how they ended up doing things.
I do think we're working on a piece right now in The Athletic about this. It feels like Kevin is taking back control of the offense. And he should. Like, I think Kevin was very much in charge of the Dillon pick. And he's always liked him. I don't know why that is such a problem for people. Like, I'm glad we made it 12:54 without getting into all the Shedeur nonsense because I haven't been in all week. But everyone's like, he didn't get a fair chance. Well, fair doesn't mean equal. So if he liked Dillon more, and we only see a small snippet of things, and he wanted Dillon all along, and he saw what he wanted to see out of Dillon, it's going to be Dillon. It doesn't mean Shedeur is not going to get his chance, but some of the stuff that was out there for the last week just blows my mind about, and people who should know better too. Like Robert Griffin, I don't know where he got off talking about setting him up to fail and not putting him out there. Shedeur is a third and fourth string quarterback. He's going to play with third and fourth string guys. Did Robert Griffin have a fair quarterback competition with Kirk Cousins their rookie year? No, of course not.
Yeah, I really wouldn't listen to many things that he says.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was about to say, and this is me, but like I'm kind of when RG3 talks, man, I just kind of tune out. I think that dude's so lost in the sauce.
That's the reason
I think
why he's not really on TV anymore.
Like I think he's so tone deaf on certain things in life, man. It's just like even if he's making a point because of previous comments that he has made, it's like, man, wrong messenger for me. So
yeah, back to the original point. Yeah, I think Kevin had a very large say in how this quarterback room was built. I think he's comfortable with Joe. I think he's very comfortable with Joe. We saw that from 2 years ago. Joe's very comfortable running the system. They brought back Mike Bloomgren. He's a Bill Callahan disciple. He runs the wide zone scheme. They're going to get back to running the ball, 2 tight ends, play action, everything that Kevin loves doing, everything that went away last year in that disaster of a season, they're going back to this year.
Did you see David Njoku in the videos that was on social media this morning? He's happy he's got his buddy back. It's like him and Joe Flacco are best friends and they half each other's age. It is hilarious.
Well, he's got his quarterback that's going to get him the bag this
right
year.
On time.
Big
right
facts.
on time. Yeah.
You always find that older coworker that you really click with. All right, next one, Jordan
That was a
Dagestro.
Yeah, it was. Jeez. Come on, man.
Go ahead.
What?
I don't know. It's a lot of older coworkers here that we work with.
Older
though.
coworkers suddenly feeling insulted. I feel
Man,
attacked.
guys.
Not my fault. I was born in '97. Anyways, Jordan wants to know: would you guys consider Hunter Renfrow?
Yes, absolutely.
I would.
100%, dude. Yeah.
Isn't he in Carolina?
I thought he got picked back up, didn't he?
I don't know.
He was a free agent for a second, but like that's, I don't know why that guy is not stuck on. I mean, when he had like a 2-year run in Vegas where he caught everything.
He's bounced around a lot.
Yeah, he has. But I would be down. I mean, Hunter Renfrow was a good football player. So.
All right, our last one, guys, comes from James Mace Jr. Evan Mobley is a solid player, but doesn't have the tools in the toolbox to be the best player on the Cavs. He can't play make at a high level.
Can't play make at a high level?
Yes.
Oh, we'll find out.
We will find out this year.
Hunter Renfrow is still a free agent, by the way.
He is?
He was in Carolina for a minute. He got cut.
Okay. Yeah, we'll find out on Evan. I mean, year 4, he took a huge leap forward, and the things that he did, the accolades that he ended up having at the end of the season gives me more faith than not that he can dig deeper in that tool bag and get what's necessary for him to go out there and be great. We got 2 minutes left. Any final thoughts from anybody?
Final thoughts, man. Enjoy the weekend. I'm going to New Orleans in the morning for my game this weekend, and then off to the U.S. Open for a couple of days in NYC.
Attaboy.
I'm just living my best
Living
life.
your best life.
I am taking 9 days off work after
Attababy.
tomorrow
Attababy.
from every single job. This will be the first time not the first time I've been off this year, but outside of everything that happened earlier this year, this time is for me. It
need
ain't
it.
for anything else.
Good for
I'm
you.
going to try to detach from social media. I got a couple books I started reading. I'm going to try to finish those and really just enjoy my friends and my family and just get ready for a crazy football season.
Lock in, baby.
So
Lock in.
Yep.
it'll be fun, man. That's it. That's it for everybody.
That's it.
All right, I guess we could wrap up 60 seconds earlier, man. Yo, this been fun in this host chair. Remember, be great, spread love. Being great come with a price. Spreading love is priceless. Till next time, I'm out of here.
Hey, I want to do one quick correction before, too. Ultimate Guardians starts Wednesday next week. So not wait until the end of the season. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you all in overtime. Mike's back tomorrow.
Yes, peace.